Hello and greetings from Fairfax, Virginia and George Mason University. George Mason University is the largest public university in our state of Virginia, and it's a great pleasure to speak to you, my friends and colleagues from Macedonia, about a topic so very important for your schools and for your communities. First, let me say that it has been a great privilege for me over the years to visit Macedonia and have an opportunity to develop friendships with many in the educational community in your great nation. And it's a great honor for me to meet with you today and to talk a little bit with you about this important concept about social justice and how social justice is an important concept that helps to strengthen and make our schools better communities and better places for all of our students. Let me begin by saying that social justice education is really about three things. It's about equity, it's about excellence, and it's about effectiveness. And as Nelson Mandela, the famed South African leader, was quoted as saying not too long before his death, Mandela said that education is the most powerful weapon that anyone can use to change the world. Well, Mandela was right. But years before Mandela was alive, Horace Mann, who was one of the great education reformers in the United States in the 19th century, once said that education is the great equalizer. Well, Mann and Mandela together were very right, and both were correct. Education is the great equalizer, and it's the most important thing that any of us can do to change the world. And as we think about education, let's talk about how social justice is a concept that can make education one of the most powerful ways that we can create equity so that we can change our communities for the better. Social justice is defined as the movement of society towards more equality, towards the support for diversity, for economic fairness, and for nonviolent resolution of conflicts. And it also speaks to the ways in which we actively, as citizens of our communities, can participate in the life of our communities. Social justice is about promoting and protecting human rights, and maximizing the opportunity that we have to engage in the responsibility that each of us has for our communities. And it's a particular emphasis on economic and the social rights of society's most vulnerable groups and promoting the opportunity for them to become less vulnerable. Social justice is also about multicultural education. That is, providing opportunities in all of our schools so that all of our citizens, regardless of their station in life, regardless of their background, their national origin, the places from which they've come, the color of their skin, the language they speak, their ability or their disability, that all of our citizens have the opportunity to succeed and that all have an opportunity to thrive. It's about creating the first E, the E of equity, the E of providing equal opportunities and equal access for all. And it's also about tolerance. It's about tolerating difference because we respect the importance of difference and because we are made wiser by understanding the power of difference so that we can appreciate each other in deeper and more profound and genuine ways. It's also in our schools about increasing the awareness of our students that social inequalities exist in our societies, and that part of our responsibility as developing citizens, as children who are becoming responsible adults in Macedonia and in other places in the world, that part of our role and part of our goal is to eliminate the inequality so that all can have the opportunities that each of us strive to have. It's about creating respect for all and opportunities for each. And it's also about understanding something about each of our cultures, about developing a sense of competence when it comes to understanding culture. And this is a challenge in every one of our societies, not just in Macedonia, but here in the United States, and I dare say in every country on the planet. Because part of social justice and part of embedding social justice in our educational systems, in our schools, will help to close this educational achievement gap which has existed for so long between different groups. It's recognizing and promoting the concept that inequalities can be ameliorated so that equality becomes the result. And this is a very, very important concept, both in Macedonia, but in every nation in the world. It's what we all want for our children, regardless of each of our position in a society, regardless of our role, our job, our background. What we want for our children is the same. We want each of our children to have the opportunities to succeed in their life, to thrive over the course of their life, and to be successful in every walk of their life. So what are some of the characteristics of social justice as it applies to education? Well, it's about creating classrooms that are student-centered and collaborative. It's about engaging with our students so that they're involved collaboratively with their teachers in developing learning environments that are conducive to their learning as well as their self and human development. It's about creating experiential opportunities for students to actively participate in their learning, so they're not just being told, they're experiencing. They're experiencing opportunities, and they are experiencing opportunities for learning. It's about being analytical and intellectual, but it's also about being multicultural and including all in our learning communities. Because we're creating learning communities that are activist, so that our students become advocates for themselves, for their peers, and for others. We engage in social justice because we wish that inequality will no longer be the status quo in our societies. We engage in social justice so that we allow inequality no longer to inhibit access to resources, or access to rights that are basic human rights, or to the safety of each of us in our communities. We engage in social justice so that we can allow there to be freedom from discrimination. And we engage in social justice because it is both the morally right thing to do and the pragmatically necessary thing to do for our societies, for our cultures, for our communities, indeed for our nations to succeed in this new century. Some of the themes of social justice are to make the world a better place, to allow there to be equity for opportunity and equality of treatment for all, that there be fairness, an appreciation and a recognition and a respect for difference, and that we give voice to those who ordinarily have not had voice themselves, so that those who don't have the opportunity to express will have the opportunities to be expressive. It's also about having empathy and understanding for multiple perspectives, to respect the differences we bring, not just as individuals, but in our perspectives about issues. It's about empowering the disenfranchised. Our goal is actually simple. It's to allow equal access. But those goals are actually, as you know and we know in our nation as well, extraordinarily complex. We want to connect the lives of each of us to the lives of all of us, because a community of equality is a community that succeeds. So the practices in schools are practices that embed these concepts in our curriculum, embed these concepts in our pedagogic or teaching practices, indeed to embed the concept of social justice in the culture of the school itself, to embed the notion that we have tolerance for all and respect for each as basic tenets of the culture of our schools, and to include in our teacher education programs, in our programs where we're training the teachers of tomorrow, to be able to carefully and successfully embed social justice in their pedagogic practices so that the schools of tomorrow function in a way that's even better than the schools of today, as in each of our classrooms, in all of our curriculum, and that all as educators, what we do in our classrooms, and those of us who lead schools, because it's just as important for those who lead schools and our political leaders in our communities to embrace the importance of social justice in education and social justice in our communities. So in short, we talk about social justice and we talk about equity. We try to strive so that there is equality. And we do that so that there is excellence in our education systems, so that our schools are strengthened in a way that allow all to be successful, for all to learn, for all to develop in important ways, and so that the strategies that we use as educators are strategies that are effective in promoting these important constructs for our society today, and equally as important, perhaps even more important, for our societies tomorrow. So thank you very much for allowing me to share some of these thoughts with you. It's great to be with you and with my colleagues in Macedonia. Thank you for the opportunity, and regards from the state of Virginia in the United States and George Mason University. Thank you very much.